Well, good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend Karen Einhaus, and it is my joy to be here. It's been a couple of weeks since I had the joy of delivering this Sunday inspirational message, and it feels good. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Yeah. One of the things I had to smile about yesterday, I was a little bit on Facebook, and I saw a lot of pictures from my friends in Germany with really odd outfits. And I'm like, what is going on? It's Mardi Gras. And in Germany, that's a big thing. Everybody dresses up. So I was very tempted, but I didn't today. No. Also, while I was on Facebook, I came across this gem that I thought was just perfect for today's talk. What is the strangest mix of ingredients you put together? Well, when I was a younger and less wise individual, I used to combine other people's opinions and my personal self-worth. Let's just say I won't use that recipe ever again. I love that. And I would love to stand here and say, yes, as a younger me, I did that, but not anymore. However, one of the things that Reverend Lezli and I always say, we are going to be transparent on the platform. And so as a recovering people pleaser, as somebody who used to be called a chameleon, because I have this uncanny ability to know what somebody would love and like and need from me, and then I go ahead and do that, which in and of itself is not a bad thing yet. If there's something within me that says, oh, this is not mine to do, and I ignore it, that's where we're getting into little hot waters. And those hot waters is what we're going to talk about today. And so my talk title is Be Yourself, because everyone else is already taken. Love that, right? Yeah. And we have all heard that. And I am not going to I'm just going to start with the premise that we all know that, right? It's not rocket science. We all know that in order to be loved, for example, we want to show up as our authentic self, because then the love that comes in, we can really feel it. We all know it. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes forget. So today we are going to look at 3 different ideas, pathways, things to remind us when we are noticing that, I'm a little off track. I am a little bit more concerned what so-and-so is thinking about me than what I think about myself deep in the center of our being, of my being. And when we always know what's happening in that arena? At nighttime. Do you have that? Make it through a whole day. I'm my shiny self. I am getting it done. Woohoo! Look at me. And then I lay down. And then there's this thing that happens, and perhaps it's just me, but there is this thing that happens. It's like I invited my worst enemy to lay down with me and have a conversation with me and tell me about that blouse with those pants really didn't work. And the words you used, there would have been such better words to use. Why don't you think about this sometime? Ooh, for 2 hours. It goes on and on and on. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. And I know you all love me very much, and you would be fine if I just be up here and talk about these things and share about how New Vision Center is this community, this organization that allows us to move from pleasing others way too much towards really feeling who I am and operating our day from that point of view, you would be okay with that. However, that is just then watching it, right? And one of the blessings that is New Vision Center is that we are each invited to go on this journey together. Yes. So we are not watching, we are engaging. This is this beautiful picturing out of our annual theme that Reverend Lezli put together, and how brilliant is that? And today we are focusing up there on the top right, self-acceptance. That is what we're working on. And we're going to start off by all together saying an affirmation that propels us onto this path. I love and accept myself exactly as I am. Again, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. That, beloveds, if we can say this, and there's nothing within us that says, Karen, remember what you did? So what do we need? What do we need to nurture, to engage in, to cultivate? I'm getting out of the way. I see people wanting to take pictures. I'll move over here. What is it that we need to become aware of, nurture, so that we can individually make this move towards our true, authentic inner self? Well, today we're going to talk about three things. I would love to have a conversation that starts off with really knowing ourselves, to really know ourselves, to have an awareness. How often do I really do that? How often do I not honor what is within me and just please another? And then we're going to take a look at this idea of self-compassion. I'm going to tell a story when it hit me over the head, what self-compassion can look like, and compassion in general. And then we're going to take a look at how much courage does it take to be transparent and to show up not just in our shiny parts. This is my expression of shiny parts. But those parts that I really don't want anybody to see. My angst, my fear, my anger, whatever it is. As a matter of fact, let's take a moment, and I invite you, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can just soften your gaze, but just feel into for a moment what might be your not so shiny part that you work really hard at not to let others see. And just allow that to be with you. Now, coming back into this room, coming back with open eyes and awareness, we all know that we are one in the one. I am not talking about that we are not whole, perfect, and complete and loved beyond measure by that which is greater than we are. That part within us that has never been harmed, that has never been hurt, that is working. That is so. That is never questioned. What we are looking at is really, how can I, what's the opposite of widen? Narrow. How can I narrow the chasm between the awareness of my oneness with the divine and this day, this life here on planet Earth? How can I bring that together a little bit more? First, I have to know. I have to really know and be willing to engage in finding out, who is this person? You know, we all have had the experience before we were born. We were just in total bliss. Everything was taken care of for us. We knew, I assume, where we were. And then we are born, and for the next 12, 15 years, everybody has an opinion about us and tells us how we should do. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't really do that. If you're this way, then I'm going to love you. And we do that. And I'm a mom, I'm a grandma. Oh, sometimes I find myself saying things where I'm like, oh, Karen, don't do that. Because what we are doing, God is calling already. Because what we are doing, right, we are in our goodwill really trying to help these young beings to find their way. And we have found there are some ways that are easier, they are perhaps less combative to grow up in. And yet, at some point, we have to make this realization, we have to have this realization where we said, oh, that was to help me to get to this now moment. But now that I am an adult and any degree of maturity that we happen to be at, I don't have to listen to others in that way. I don't have to mix opinions that other people have with my own self-worth. I have to find a way to develop and cultivate and nurture my own self-worth that has nothing to do with how I show up, how I'm feeling, what I'm saying. That is the invitation. Moving on this continue. And I think that affirmation can really help us. Because when we say to ourselves, I love and accept myself exactly as I am, any part in us that disagrees shows up. It lets you right know where your work is. So that's our first part, is to really cultivate the awareness of who I am. We all go through that process that I was describing. Don Miguel Ruiz calls it as domestication. Domestication. If you have read the Four Agreements, that word sounds familiar to you. And during this domestication process, then our own needs are becoming less important than what other people need of us. And that is what we're talking about. And I want to caution us not to fall into this thing to feel like our parents, our teachers, they did something wrong. They did the very best they could. It is up to us. And for some of us, this is the moment to choose to have a different experience. I love how Brené Brown talks about this idea of being our authentic selves. Let's see. She said, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we are supposed to be and embracing who we are. Oh, I love that. I love that, and what comes up for me, how do I do that? Is it very clear to everybody else? Am I the only one that doesn't quite know how to do that? Right? So I think that's where this community, that's where the New Vision Center comes in. It has, as you know, it has changed my life because it has been a place where I could practice that, where I was encouraged, even if it didn't work out all that well, I was always encouraged to be my authentic self. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all grow up in that experience? To be encouraged to be our authentic self. And the next point that we want to take a look at then is having compassion. This idea of meeting ourselves with love and compassion. In our pre-service meditation, it came up. I heard it in the song. This idea to approach our own selves with the love that we have for a beloved, for a child. I mentioned that I would share a story. I don't know if I have shared this before here, but when I was 12 or 13 years old, in English class, we read Reader's Digest, those little booklets, right? And I remember this story so clearly. A mom was talking about that she went to pick her daughter up at the bus stop. Her daughter's name was Maddie. That's how much I remember this. And she said, as I was waiting there and I see the bus coming in and I see Maddie come out of the bus, I can tell something didn't go well. Her shoulders are slumped. She's not her usual grateful, happy self. And so the mom approaches her. She said, "Are you okay?" And Maddie said, "The math test was bad. It was really bad." And the mom said, "How about we go home and I fix you your favorite lunch and then we talk about it." Now, why did this story have such an effect on me? I can tell you when I came home with a math score that wasn't the way it was supposed to be, that was not the reaction I got. And so what this story to this day brings forth in me is that there are very, very different ways of handling those tender moments. The idea when something is not going right, to not on top of it, pile up on top of it, "Well, you could have done this better. This didn't work. Well, you should have thought about this." But rather say, "Yeah, that didn't work. Let me fix you your favorite lunch." It was revolutionary for me at that time because I didn't even know that there was a different way. I didn't even know. And we don't know what we don't know, right? And so that's why I think it's so important to show up and hear these talks and really listen to it and see what resonates with you. Where are you saying, "Wow, I didn't even know that there was a different way of handling that"? That is the story that did it for me. And I remembered it all through being a mom and having kids who came home from school and their experiences. Pema Chodron says this: "Having compassion starts and ends with having compassion for all those unwanted parts of ourselves, all those imperfections that we don't even want to look at." That's what she's talking about. Our shiny parts. Well, she's actually talking about our not so shiny parts, right? And what does it take? Yes, we can be aware and work on increasing our self-awareness. And yes, we can find ways to meet ourselves with great compassion. But you know what it really takes? It takes courage. It takes courage. Every day it takes courage, because every day we are invited to make decisions. hundreds of them. Some who will move us further away from who we truly are, and some who will move us deeper into this center of our being, where we are bringing our human experience close to our divine experience. It takes courage. On Wednesday, I sat in the dentist chair, one of my least favorite places to sit. And I listened to Brené Brown interviewing Viola Davis. Viola Davis, for those of you who can't picture her, she was the actress in Murder, She Wrote, and she has taken the movie industry and the TV industry by storm, and she has won Grammys. And so Brené Brown and Viola Davis were having this interview. And in it, at some point, Viola said, "I feel like I earned the right to come home after a whole day of work and not beat myself up for the next couple of hours." A Grammy winner, a beautiful being. And the examples that she gave weren't my examples, but what I got from that was that it takes courage every day to stand up for ourselves. And we have to find ways to do that. And Viola Davis, referenced Glennon Doyle. And Glennon Doyle says this: every time you're given a choice between disappointing someone else and disappointing yourself, your duty is to disappoint that someone else. Wow! Right? I don't know about you, but that's hard to hear. You gotta disappoint the other one. You gotta have so much courage that you know who you are so completely that you are risking to disappoint another. Your job throughout your entire life is to disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. Yes, yeah. Let's hear it for that. I feel like we could have a whole conversation about that, about what comes up in us. How would our life look like if we're so convinced, and if we are so beyond a shadow of a doubt that who we are is truly who we are meant to be, that we walk that path, no matter what even our mom or an uncle or the beloved or somebody says about it. Oh, I so yearn and appreciate that we are here together where we can have these conversations, where we can explore, how does that look for me? Because all of it is so that we can live the life we came here to live. So we can give the gifts we came here to give, to be just who we are. Carl Gustav Jung says it this way: the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That's the privilege of a lifetime. So much in these quotes, in these thoughts, in these practices that we share here have brought me to this point. to take a stand and to just be who I am. And when a decision has to be made to disappoint another or to disappoint myself, I hope I remember to not disappoint myself. So that when I lay down at nighttime, that barrage stops. I want that for me, and I want that for everyone. And I want you to know that whatever we can do to support you on this journey, we are here. That is what we want to do. Thank you. And so let us anchor this truth, all of this, into prayer. And I invite the practitioner students and the practitioners and the ministers, I invite you to rise, because this is such a tender space. It is such a tender space, and we know that as we come together, we can hold this space for everyone with more ease, with more grace. And so we recognize that there truly is only one love, one life, one peace, one harmony, one something, one great infinite reality. It is the divine, it is sweet spirit, it is God. How grateful I am to recognize that we are all invited to step into it, to realize that we have our being in it and it has its being in us. That has always been the case and will always be the case. The eternal loving kindness of the divine made manifest through us. And so I speak a word. I speak a word that we may so walk, that whoever walks beside us abides in the presence of Spirit knowingly. That deep in the center of our being, we know who we are. And that we share who we are with the world, without masks, without barriers. We have the courage to open our hearts and let love in and let love out. I speak a special word for all of the beloveds who have placed a prayer request into our prayer box, into our online ministry, knowing that as we speak into the word, into the law says yes. And so it is with such a grateful heart that I simply call this time good and very good, that I'm grateful for all the realization, all the truth that has been felt here. Thank you, life.